The world is full of bull. You want information? No problem. We live in the information age. You want accurate information? Well, that's another matter entirely. Used to be, if you wanted to know what was going on in the world, you'd turn on the TV news. If you wanted more detail, you'd buy a newspaper. But every once in a while, something would happen that made you think. You'd see a story, and it was on some episode that you happened to have some knowledge about. And the details of the story were a bit garbled, confused, maybe even just plain wrong. Let me give you an example. Back in the early 80s, I was taking electronics courses in college, and I kept up with the trade rags, so I knew about compact discs before they came out. Well, I saw this story in the Wall Street Journal. It described how compact discs worked. Sort of. The story described how they put lots of little pits in the bottom of the compact disc, and then they stuffed bits of data inside those pits. Well, I thought to myself, if that's really how it works, what happens if you turn the CD upside down? Do all the bits fall out of the pits? How are you ever going to get all the bits back in the right pits? May as well break out the dustbuster, call it a loss. Back in the old days, people believed what they saw in the news. Walter Cronkite would say, and that's the way it is. And nobody questioned him. But over time, that faith evaporated. There were exploding pickup trucks that hadn't exploded without a little help from special effects. 8-year-old crack addicts that weren't. All this long before there was a National Guard memo that didn't come from the National Guard. Over time, this faith evaporated, and nowadays hardly anybody really trusts the news. There's blatant bias, fake news stories, photo fakery abounds, sensationalism substitutes for substance. We've got stringers in the Middle East giving us our news that are of dubious reliability. But where do you turn? Where do you go for the truth? Is the truth out there? Well, nowadays we have the internet. The internet, a great big, steaming, stinking pile of information at your fingertips. An entire world's worth of allegation, rumor, conspiracy theories, raving paranoia. But sift through this garbage long enough, you might just find a nugget of truth in there somewhere. It's mostly worthless, but you make it up on volume. Now, just how do we approach this haystack in search of a needle? Let's take an example. Suppose you're a student. You're majoring in liberal arts or English or some such nonsense. Your English professor or your history professor gives you an assignment. The Cold War. No problem. Crack open the old computer and Google it. Google, 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 Google. Let's see here. The Noam Chomsky page. Everything you need to know about lying America's Cold War against justice and international law on behalf of the fat cats and the cronies in Washington. Oh boy! Everything I need to know right here in one spot. What a time saver. So you type up your paper and you turn it in and you get an A+ because your professor's a bit of a lunatic. You're feeling pretty good about life in general and about Google in particular. Well, now he gives you another assignment. The history and culture of the Jewish people. Jewish people. That's one of them ethnic groups, right? From Africa or somewheres. I bet you they got folk dances. Well, we know what to do. Google, Google, Google. What's this? I feel lucky? Yeah, I've had pretty good luck with this so far. Click. What's this here? Protocols of the Learned Elders of Zion. I have no idea what that means, but it sounds official. I'll go with it. Type it up, turn it in. I hesitate to predict exactly what's going to happen when you turn in this term paper. Let's suppose that your professor doesn't completely buy into the latest academic fads. He might even be one of the few English professors left who still admit the Holocaust happened. So, a little while later, you're on your way back from the dean's office with your head tucked underneath your arm, and you're asking yourself, what happened? I Googled and everything. You're starting to have doubts. Is Google really my friend? Is it toying with me? I'm going to try that Cold War search again. See if I get the same answer twice. Google, 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 Google. I feel lucky? What is this, a Clint Eastwood movie? No, I don't feel lucky, you backstabbing bastard. Click. Now what's this? Advanced search? If that's advanced search, what's this I've been looking at? Retarded search? Click. 100 entries? Yeah, why not? Scroll, scroll, scroll. Noam Chomsky, Noam Chomsky, Noam Chomsky, Noam Chomsky, Bush, Hitler, Noam Chomsky, Noam Chomsky, Gulag Archie something, Noam Chomsky. Ooh, wait a minute. What the heck is a Gulag Archie P. Lego? Is that some kind of a Hungarian dish? Click. Gulag Archie P. Lego by Alexander Snuffle Sneezin. Scroll, scroll, Hey! Noam Chomsky never told me about any of this. The moral of the story is this. Look to the internet for answers, but question those answers. Google can be your best friend or your worst enemy, depending how you approach it. You should treat it as an untrustworthy, lying witness. Put it under the hot lights and grill it until you get the truth out of it. Here's a good approach. Whenever you see any information from anywhere, especially on the internet, ask yourself 2 questions about it. First, does this match any personal experience I might have about this subject? 2, does it even make any freaking sense? If the answer to either of these is no, just move on. If yes, step 2, look for some alternate sources, some alternate takes on the subject. Some good sites to go to. Snopes.com, snopes.com, for urban legends, rumors, and also a bit about conspiracy theories. An even better source for conspiracy theories is skepticwiki.org, skepticwiki.org. For news coverage that you're not entirely sure about, check out Accuracy in Media, AIM.org. Now remember, don't implicitly trust any news source, not even these debunking sites. Subject everything you get from there to the same 2 questions. Next, go on some discussion groups. Try to find some people who might have some other information. Ask them the questions. Whatever they say, you subject it back to the same 2 questions. Does it jive with your experience? Does it make sense? Finally, if you can manage it, find some flesh and blood person who's in a position to know something about this subject. Save this for last because it's really hard to find people who actually know what they're talking about. Whatever he says, subject it to the same 2 questions. The truth is out there, but the truth rarely comes in ready-to-use, trustworthy form. It comes polluted, distorted, fragmented, and fractured. Some assembly will be required, and there will be a lot of pieces left over. But if you follow through, and if you apply the proper skepticism and get enough different sources, you will end up with truth that you can use.